Yeah, go on. Whatever.
Okay, welcome back, and today we have a new partner. He has joined the team. It is now called Ben and Mo Spurs Podcast. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
It's an honor. Yeah. Hopefully, from now we'll have some guests, and we'll make it very interesting. Ben's gonna be a permanent person in this up and coming channel.
Woohoo. I'm excited.
Yeah. Don't forget to go and follow the Instagram Mo Spurs Ben and Mo Spurs podcasts. And let's get straight into it. What are your initial thoughts, Ben?
Um, well, when I was watching the game, I was very disappointed. Um, Especially with the first half. The second half, we played a little bit better, but overall, I'm not impressed. I'm not convinced by the whole parking the bus plan. I don't think it's gonna work. But um, yeah, I wasn't impressed. I don't think it was a good performance. I think we were the better team in the second half, but the first half was atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, two shots on target throughout the whole thing. And there was 74 minutes between each shot on target. I think it's safe to say no Tottenham fan was very happy with that performance. Maybe second half was a bit better, but I think overall, I think it's fair to say not many people have been charmed by Jose's tactics.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that. I think in the beginning I was sort of like excited by it because it's José Mourinho. He wins trophies. He is a winner. But the style of football that we play now compared to what we played, 2-3 years ago under Pochettino that got us to a Champions League final. I think we made that Champions League final, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah,
Look how far away we are now. And it's the same squad.
that's true. Do you think with the League Cup final coming up against Man City, do you fancy our chances?
I don't know. I think probably 5 weeks ago I would have said yeah. But now City are looking like an absolute tank in the league. They're just winning every game. They're, you know, rolling over every team. Obviously with Stones and Diaz performing, it helps. Aymeric Laporte is one of the best centre backs in the league, and he can't even get into their team. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we could possibly pull off a miracle. Mourinho loves a cup final. He loves playing at Wembley. But then again, so does Pep Guardiola. So it's going to be a sort of clash of the Titans in the League Cup.
Yeah, I think that's probably what Jose Mourinho's best at is winning those one-off games in that kind of situation.
Yeah, he's definitely proven that he's done that before. Obviously, 2-time Champions League winner. He's won the league countless of times. He's won FA Cups, League Cups. Copa Italia's. Won trophies in Spain, obviously as well at Real Madrid. But can he do it with this Spurs squad? I don't know. He did it at United, but the level of football in England has changed a lot since he was at United.
Yeah,
So
I think that's very fair to say. Let's move on to the lineups now. Yeah.
yeah, right, go on.
Tactics. I'm not really sure what he did with the lineups. Was it a 4-2-2-2? Was it a 4-2-3-1? I think it started off as a 4-2-3-1, but changed to a
Yeah, I would have said a 4-2-3-1. Vinicius up front, Son off the left, Bergvin off the right, and then Dombele sort of playing as that number 10.
So I think when they brought on Eric Lamela and Lucas Moura, it was kind of just to save a sinking ship, and there's no real
Yeah,
consistency then.
I don't think. Obviously, Lamela and Moura made a great impact on the team. They sort of changed the game, but the fact that we took off two attacking players for those two attacking players, we still left a back six.
Yeah.
It's a joke to even say back six, but it sounds like Burnley. But
yeah.
the fact that you didn't take off someone like Sissoko, Eric Dyer wasn't having a good game. It's I don't see where we go from now on. We've got some tough fixtures coming up. Everton in the FA Cup, I think, and then City, West Brom this weekend. So I don't know whether Eric Dyer continues to play. He probably will because Mourinho likes him. But to be honest, it was a shocking performance from Eric Dyer last night.
I think he has been very good at times. He's been solid, but I think the lack of pace doesn't help him.
Yeah, I think he's. To be honest, before last night, I think he had a great season. But last night it kind of just fell apart. Obviously, not just because of the penalty, but
Yeah,
there was a few times where Chelsea ran through. I think it was Hudson-Odoi and Mount both did it. Kovacic did it as well, and they expected a pass to come out wide, but they didn't pass. Now, luckily, obviously, they didn't get their shot quite right, but there was a massive gap in the middle of the goal, and Alderweireld and Dyer were sort of on either ends of the 18-yard box, just waiting for a pass. That's not defending.
I think the issue was Alderweireld went to right side of the box and Eric Dyer went to the left side of the box, expecting someone like Højbjerg to cover. But the issue is when we were attacking, we were getting caught on the counter attack. Someone they have to be a bit more central.
Yeah, I think Højbjerg actually he wasn't as good as he has been all season. I think he was good.
I think he struggled.
Yeah, he struggled with the passing, the speed, that Tuchel played. But overall, I think we only really had two good players on that night, and they were Ndombele and Vinicius.
Yeah, I think speaking of Højbjerg, though, I have just received some information that his goal against Liverpool has been nominated for Goal of the Month.
Oh really? Oh, that's not surprising actually. It was a cracker.
Yeah, that was incredible. It was a shocking performance, but that was a bright spot there.
Yeah, that was the one good moment of 2021, basically, other than Marine and Wickham, which says a lot.
Yeah, it's been a tough 2021 for us all. Let's get on to some player ratings, should we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we'll start with Hugo Laurice. What did you think of his performance?
Didn't really do anything wrong. I actually thought he was quite good. Obviously the save from I think Mount had a shot.
In the last few minutes,
he made a good save. Nothing he really could have done about the penalty. It's just not tall enough. Went the right way.
Yeah.
But it was a good penalty. And then obviously the header from Dyer, or the half volley from Dyer, should I say, and then the header from Lloris was a bit of a panic stations. But I'd give Lloris a 7 because I don't see what he did wrong.
Yeah, there wasn't much for him to do. Like there was.
Yeah, there wasn't that much creativity from either teams. Chelsea just sort of passed it around and tried to work their way through the back 8, which is what it was at times.
I think what was happening was there's points in the first half where the players' minds were so filled with defensive tactics that they just forgot the one basic thing, which is moving.
Exactly. There was no movement off the ball. They were just standing there. There was a few instances where Sissoko was called out, even on a throw-in or on basic passing, and he couldn't get to it because he wasn't moving enough, and he was so focused on his position rather than moving to receive the ball. And I think that was a big problem. That's why we didn't dominate the game. I think it's because we weren't moving, and Chelsea they were so fluid and attack that they were able to create space by moving. Even Werner, who hasn't had the best of seasons, looked like a world-class player against us because he was moving, he was dribbling, and he was able to receive the ball and give it back to someone like Mount. Mount was on the ball probably for 60 minutes for the whole game. So it just shows, really.
It just showed, like, there was a defensive block, but it made us look like a block that couldn't move at all. It was kind of just a bus.
It was like a bus. It was like a brick wall, and the brick wall wouldn't move. And then eventually, the brick wall fell apart, and Werner tripped over it.
Yeah, Yeah, so should we go on to the back four? We'll start with Serge Aurier. What did you think of his performance?
I don't know. He
Yeah,
didn't really do anything bad, but he didn't do anything good either.
I think there were
Um,
times where you could see he was lacking a bit of confidence. He wasn't making
yeah,
passes that usually he would make. He wasn't making those runs down the wing. You know.
yeah. I think there was a couple of times he crossed it in quite well. I think for the Vinicius chance in the 88th minute, late on in the game where Vinicius probably could have put it away, but um, if I was to give Aurier a rating, I'd probably say a 5 or a 6, maybe
Yeah,
at best.
I think there's times where he could have showed up where he didn't really. Um, yeah. All right, let's move on to Big Tobes. Toby Alderweireld.
Toby Wan Kenobi.
Toby Wan Kenobi. What did again? Not much really to say here. I think. What do you think?
Yeah, he was sort of quiet throughout the game. Didn't really do much. Um, his passing obviously has been excellent this season, but it was kind of off. I don't know whether that was because of the surface of the pitch or because our players weren't able to receive it. But there was nothing really he could have done better. But there was, you know,
There's probably nothing he could have done worse, really. Either there wasn't much at all.
that's true. Exactly. Yeah, he did. It. Just shows how little he had to do.
Yeah, like when he's part of a defensive block, that he's kind of so protected in himself that he probably does not.
He's protected by the players around him,
Yeah,
which is what helps him because his passing ability. He needs to be on the ball to be able to pass, 60 yards to someone like Son or Vinicius. But
yeah.
he wasn't getting that space because Chelsea were pressing so much, and it was a tough night for him.
It was. I think Eric Diarrhea faced the same toughness. Let's say I think
Oh,
he made some mistakes there that maybe. I think at first there was some unnecessary criticism of him, but I think last night was not unnecessary. Like a 27-year-old playing for England should not make that mistake.
yeah. Where do I start? Um, Probably. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying probably. He was our worst player on the pitch. Not just because of the penalty, but he was just so shaky.
His positioning was off.
Exactly. He wasn't right. I don't know whether he's being overplayed and he's just lacking confidence because we're not on winning form. But yeah, it wasn't a great performance from Dyer last night.
I think one thing from the documentary we saw that he's a competitive player. He wants to be winning every match. I think his confidence goes because he probably feels like at times it's his fault, and probably it is. Probably sometimes it is his fault, like last night.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable that football players' confidence goes up when it goes down. That's a normal part of football. But he is a very competitive player. He likes to win, and he clearly doesn't like losing because we saw in the documentary that he doesn't take losing very well.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah. I mean, if we
I
go
don't
on,
think that his confidence should overrule his performance because it wasn't good from him.
yeah, it really wasn't. I think one of the I think with even without the penalty, he still probably would have been the worst player on the pitch. Um,
Yeah, probably. I don't know what he was doing with the penalty. To be honest, it's what is the basic rule of defending? Like, don't swing your feet in the box, especially when you're on the floor.
yeah,
Um,
and a player of
Unless you're
Werner's ability,
guaranteed to win the ball,
and a
it's
player of
not a
Werner's
good idea.
ability probably has the ability just to fall over and like get his foot where it needs to be to get the penalty. Rather than
Yeah, I noticed that in the game it was quite good from Werner and putting his foot in the way, but still Dyer shouldn't really be doing stuff like that,
yeah.
especially not in the box.
Let's move on to Ben Davies. I think same situation as Aurier and Tobes. Nothing bad, nothing good. I think is that fair to say?
Yeah, sort of average. I you can tell sort of by the back line that we really really miss Regulon. Like we
Yeah.
really miss Regulon.
I mean, the attacking
Um,
flair he brings is just
is unmatched. Davis tried to play as a left winger in the second half and really didn't come off.
Yeah, yeah. I think if Region was to play left wing back, it would probably work.
Yeah, I think Reguilon's versatility is so key in attacking play. You know, he can play left back, but he can also play as almost like a left midfielder.
Yeah.
If we do decide to play back three, whereas Davis is sort of restricted to defending, and I know a few games in cup matches in Europa League he's played centre back, but um,
I don't think
I, I yeah, I don't think he's a centre back, but I don't think he's been. I don't think he's had a good season. It's certainly not in the same situation as REA, where they brought in a player to sort of almost replace him, but he's boosted from it. I feel like he's almost downgraded from it, or maybe he's just stayed the same, and we're so used to seeing Reguilon put in these consistently brilliant performances that we've seen what Davis actually is like, and we're so disappointed by it.
Yeah, I think what Region brings when we do go back three, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it, but if we do, I think Region has the ability to the pace and the stamina to come back, but also run back up.
Yeah, I think Reguilon is just so much better in every single way than Davis. Maybe his defending is a bit questionable, but so is Davis's, to be honest. So I'm not really sure.
And I think another thing is passion. There's a lot of passion with Region. He enjoys
Yeah,
playing.
he loves playing. He loves playing, and that's the difference between him and Davis.
Yeah,
Reguilon could just run around up and down everywhere, um,
yeah. So if we move on
whereas
to
Davis just sort of stays.
yeah, I think if we move on now to the two CDM block, if we go to Musa Sissoko and Pierre Emile Højbjerg, let's start with Musa Sissoko. What did you think?
I think with Soko, it's tough because um, he doesn't really play as a midfielder. He sort of covers for Aurier when he's being stupid,
Yeah,
which is most of the game. It's Aurier, and then Højbjerg. You know, it's still good, but it's not what we've seen from Højbjerg. It's not his best game, but that was probably just because of the speed of the game and the way Chelsea and Tuchel played.
I think
It's very quick, very one touch,
if we look
sort
at
of.
midfield, he got completely outnumbered at times because Sissoko had to go off and cover, and Dombele was up high. He had Kovacic, Jorginho, and Mount all to handle it once. He couldn't really handle it.
Yeah, it was difficult to handle those three, um, especially with Mount's creativity. He's so good on the ball and so good at being able to create chances that it was definitely tough for Højbjerg.
Yeah. Um, if we move on to the Cam and Dombele, played as a number 10, I think it was better. It wasn't great, but I think he prefers that position.
Yeah, he was our best player last night. I don't know why he was taken off. Maybe because of his fitness. Maybe he's not, fully um, fit. I know Mourinho's said that he's ready to play a full 90, but I don't know what he was doing subbing him off because I think he was so key. Um, he only ruined 2 careers last night, which I'm a bit surprised by. Usually it's about 4. Um, with he's just a joy to watch. When he's on form, he is unstoppable. He reminds me of Moussa Dembele when we played him in 2016, 2017 ish,
Oh,
that period.
Musa
Um,
Dembele was incredible.
just Ndombele's ability on the ball. He's got that low center of gravity, which allows him to you know list past players, um, and they're just left in the dust. Even though he's not that quick, he's just able to move the ball with his feet around players so well, and he's a real asset to the team.
Yeah. And I think when he's back and the defensive ability and the strides he's made in learning that defensive ability is really going to help because I think then it allows us to play with Gio and Ndombele and Højbjerg in that midfield. And like,
That's what we all want to see. We want to see that midfield trio, should I say,
yeah,
of Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Højbjerg, um, because
it's
that
creative.
midfield could just be unstoppable.
Yeah. Obviously, Giovanni Lo Celso is going to miss all the way until the end of February. We're hearing with
Oh, brilliant. Lovely.
lovely, isn't it? And I think really when Lo Celso got injured, that's kind of roughly the time when our form started dropping.
That's true, actually. We sort of fell off a cliff after that. We've lost games against Leicester, now Chelsea and Liverpool, and
Yeah,
it just hasn't been great. Obviously, Brighton as well, and
this was a beatable
yeah,
Chelsea. I
it's a
think
real downturn.
Brighton played better than Chelsea did last night. I think.
Oh, definitely. I don't think Chelsea's performance was by any means good. They were just better than us,
Yeah, yeah.
which, to be fair, isn't very difficult considering the way we played.
It was a lot like a mid-table clash, which I guess it was looking at the positions of the table.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, so let's get on to Steven Bergvin. What do you think of him?
Um, to be honest, I don't see why he's playing. I know he follows instructions quite well and he's tactically aware, but he's not the best player in that position. Lamella came on, should I say, and changed the game completely. He was so much better than Bergvine. Bergvine kind of just runs, and that's it.
I think what Mourinho feels is that Bergvin is the kind of the Firmino of the team, but I think when you really pay attention, he's not really, is he? Um,
No, he's not. He's not as good as he was, say, last season. I think last season, in his first few games, he was really good, and especially against that City game,
yeah,
um, on his debut, which is nearly a year ago. But I think there's better players in his position, and I think he's lucky to be in that position. Um,
Lucas Moura.
but yeah, Mora, Lamella, even Gareth Bale, who's sort of been a forgotten man at Spurs, even though he's on £600,000 a week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about Bale for a second. What do you think of how he's done so far?
If I was to sum it up in one word, I would say underwhelming. But I think he is underwhelming because he's barely played. He started one game in the Premier League, and that was against Brighton, and he got taken off. So
I think yeah,
limited minutes.
I think it's been a bit disappointing at times as well. I remember the West Ham game where he had the chance to put it to bed, and you know,
Yeah, and he couldn't finish it off. But I think that's just obviously. I think his confidence has just been in the bin over the past sort of 2 years after that Champions League final where he scored the two goals. He's barely played football, and I know he's building up his fitness again, but do I see him staying? Not on current form. I don't think Levy's Levy's a businessman, and if he wants to pay 600 grand a week for a player who's just going to sit on the bench, Levy's not going to do that.
yeah, I think his contract obviously expires in 2 years. At the end of next season, sorry. I think maybe he comes on a free because what he adds to the dressing room is good, but if he asks for the 600k wages, it's not going to happen realistically.
Yeah, he won't get that 600k anywhere unless he goes to China
Yeah.
or PSG. But I mean, PSG don't want him. They'll probably get Messi. So unless he wants to live out the rest of his footballing career in the back arse of China, I don't think he's gonna be able to get that 600 grand a week. And like you said, with the dressing room sort of thing, I think he is a great voice because he's a winner. He's won 4 Champions Leagues, and to have that sort of experience in a team that hasn't won anything is really important.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at obviously the profit he brought to the club and how, indirectly probably he kind of propelled the club to a new level with the money he brought from Real Madrid. I mean, the £98 million on a £2 million player. it really pushed the club on for a Champions League fight. Helped getting Mauricio Pochettino. Helped
Yeah, I think the money definitely benefited. Obviously, we got Ericsson, but I mean, the Magnificent Seven, as it's called. One of them worked, and that was Ericsson, and then the rest of them were, sold really. So, but no, I think he's definitely changed the club since he's left with the money that we got from him. Um, but now that he's back,
yeah,
I don't really see him staying, to be honest. As much as I'd love him to stay, because it's Gareth Bale.
yeah. The history is there.
Can we afford to just keep on saying, "Oh, look, it's Gareth Bale. We'll keep him,"
Especially if we're not going to get Champions League this year.
which, to be fair, looks unlikely.
It does. It does. I think if we had won this game, even with the Brighton game, I think if we had won this game, I probably would have said, yeah, we're still there. We're still, fighting.
Yeah, I would have said we're still in the fight, but now it's we're fighting with West Ham and Aston Villa. Like, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah, especially at the start of the season with the. I think the reason we're where we are right now, eighth and not 15th, is because of how well we did at the start of the season, and the fact that
Yeah, and I think talking about the way Mourinho played, we haven't parked the bus in 2 games this season. Those 2 games we won 5-2 and 6-1,
yeah,
and those were the second and third games of the season. And then after that, we sort of started parking the bus.
yeah,
So
I think there was times where I felt like there was absolutely no confidence, and then there was times where we had overconfidence.
yeah, I agree with that. I think after the 6-1, I think we've sort of almost got ahead of ourselves, really,
Yeah,
in terms of confidence, and we've obviously, the worst thing you can do in football is believe the hype, and I think we did. So I don't know where we will finish. I think we will finish in the top 6. Most importantly, I think we'll finish above Arsenal, but it will be tight.
I think Arsenal will see a bit of a drop off. I do think they're not. They're doing better, but I still think they won't finish top six. I think West Ham, Everton. You can see there's already been a bit of a drop off in Aston Villa. Everton have kind of seen it. West Ham, I think, will see it. But
Yeah, West Ham will see it eventually. They're overperforming, and they will start to drop off. Obviously, Lingard's had a good debut, but it's not Messi. It's
yeah.
Jesse Lingard.
So let's start looking ahead at a couple of matches now. We have West Brom coming up on Sunday. Yeah, do you think we can win that?
Well, it is a home game, as far as I know. It just depends on how we play. I think we are just a more expensive West Brom in terms of our playing style. We just sit back, try to suck up the pressure, but don't really do it. And
I think what this West Brom game will kind of help us do is they will sit back and because of probably the better quality, will have to go, you know, stay relatively in their half. Hopefully that can, try and get some confidence into players where like they are feeling that we can go and win games. It's not just every game we're losing.
yeah, I think the players need to realize that we do need to start winning games rather than just throwing away points like we did early on in the season. Against Newcastle, West Ham, especially. Wolves, Crystal Palace, these sort of games where we were dropping points like flies. We can't afford to do that anymore.
And those are games where we were performing well and losing last minute, the Newcastle one, the last minute handball, the West Ham, Manuel Lanzini, just
Yeah, it
stuff
was
like that.
it was unfortunate to drop points in those games, but in a way we sort of deserved to drop points in those games because it wasn't great.
Yeah. So let's look even further ahead. We have Everton in the FA Cup. Obviously first day defeat obviously in the Premier League to them 1-0. I think maybe undeserved. Højbjerg didn't play very well that day. Then we look ahead even to Man City. And then Europa League starts again on the 18th of February. Well, what do you think of that? Do you think
Well, to be honest, when I saw the draw, I've never heard of Wolfsburg or AC, so I can't really talk about them. But I mean, if we don't win that, that's embarrassing. Like,
Yeah, the Spurs.
I mean, credit to Wolfsburg or AC or whoever they are. They made the knockout stage of the Europa League, but I mean, if we don't win that with the team that we've got, like, it's really embarrassing.
I can tell you for a fact they play in the Austrian Bundesliga, and they are currently sitting sixth under WSG Wattens, Lask, SK Sturm Graz, Rapid Wien, and RB Salzburg. So, if we don't win that, it would seriously be bad.
Oh, if you don't win that, Mourinho needs to be sacked. I'm sorry, but he does. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about losing that.
The good thing is, though, after the City game, we don't really have very many incredibly difficult fixtures.
Yeah, that's true. We sort of played all of our tough fixtures in that one clump of the season. We played like Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, United, and Arsenal in almost consecutive weeks. So, I mean, hopefully we're able to pick up some points and get into a decent position to get us into European football, but I'm not overly optimistic because, I mean,
Honestly, I
look
think
at our season.
getting into the Champions League, the easiest route is probably winning the Europa League.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we'll be able to get top four with, by the way we're performing.
In my opinion, we are the fifth team there. We are. There's Man City, United, Leicester, Liverpool, and I think that there is us. Obviously, the points don't say that.
Yeah.
I think West Ham will drop off. Chelsea just aren't there yet. Everton, obviously not. I think then it's just us. So I think we are the fifth team.
Yeah. I think it will be close between us and Chelsea because I think they will experience a sort of bounce under Tuchel, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's the Premier League.
Looking at Chelsea's, manager sacking record, if Tuchel gets sixth, I think he could be sacked. It could be one of them.
To be honest, I could see it if they don't get top four. That's what he's been brought in to do. He's been brought in to get top four and get the best out of their signings. And Werner hasn't scored yet. Havertz played one game, so he's not really doing half of it then.
Yeah, I think if we looked at the start of the season and where we are now, like if we said at the start of the season you'd be fifth, we'd probably say that's right. But looking at how we started and how well we did, and the fact that we were first, to see now that we're eighth is
we were top of the league for a month, nearly a month, should I say? And now look, eighth.
eighth. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I guess I think that's been the podcast. 1-0 Chelsea. We're sitting eighth in the Premier League. Make sure to go check out the Instagram. The username is Spurs Thoughts by Mo and Ben. And Ben, well done. First podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I'm excited for next week, unless we lose.
It would be the first win after I've done I've done a podcast, because I started after the Liverpool game.
That would be true, yeah. So hopefully we can break the jinx.
Break the jinx, yeah. Right, so we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed, subscribe, like, and share this with friends, because as far as I know, we are probably the best ones on the internet. So yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.